Good morning. And I've already talked about Microsoft and Sony running up to E3 this year, so I thought today I'd talk about Nintendo and what we might expect from them. And Nintendo have been going great guns in the last year with the Switch, surprisingly. I was quite surprised, though, in a way I'm quite pleased to see them going well. But they need to keep going. So what can we expect from them? Well, obviously, we're going to see more of their own IPs. And the first one that springs to mind is Super Smash Bros. There's already been a lot of speculation about that. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see something relating to Smash Bros. At E3 this year. Though, whether we're actually going to get the game this year, I would doubt. If we do see it this year, then that'd be great, but I would imagine we'll see something at E3 and then the game will probably drop sometime next year. Other games that we might be expected to see, well, we had the little teaser for Metroid last year, so I would be very surprised if we don't see more about that this year, and it'd be great if we see some gameplay. That'd be great for Metroid fans. The other one, I've seen people speculating that we're going to get some Yoshi, and then obviously Pokemon Switch is a big deal. Now, I'm not sure about Pokemon Switch because we've obviously just had an announcement relating to Pokemon on the Switch, and we're getting 2 related games coming on the Switch, but they're not the full fat Pokemon RPG that people were hoping for. So maybe we will see something relating to that at E3. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Nintendo sort of teasing us with something relating to that. But that game's not coming this year, let's be honest. That'll be next year. These other games that they're putting out are going to be placeholders for that. People have also speculated about maybe we'll see Animal Crossing. And, I think it's likely that we might see something relating to that. The one that I think we will see something definitely from is a third party, if you like, and that's Bayonetta 3. We've already had the Bayonetta 2 reissue for the Switch, and that's been a kind of teaser to get people interested for Bayonetta 3. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see something relating to Bayonetta 3. In fact, I'll be very, very surprised if we don't see something relating to Bayonetta 3. And my mate will be turning cartwheels if he hears about that because he's a big Bayonetta fan. And, I've played a bit of Bayonetta. I haven't got into it really yet, but I do like the game. I think it's a good game. If we're talking about third party, though, there are some other speculations out there. I saw this mentioned yesterday that Persona 5 could be coming to the Switch. Now, that would be a good fit, I think. Again, not really my sort of thing. I do want to play Persona 5 at some point, but I think coming to the Switch, I think if I was to have Persona 5 on the Switch, I'd be inclined to take it with me and play it when I go on holiday or on a plane or whatever. It's the usual thing with Switch, isn't it? I tend to play Switch on the go, and I think that would be a good fit for Persona 5. I think it would go really well. The other thing I saw people speculating about were Bethesda games, and obviously Bethesda have been putting a lot into the Switch. We've had Doom, we're getting Wolfenstein, and could we be seeing more? Well, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see more, but there is one caveat, and that's relating to hardware on the Switch. And, the Switch has limited hardware, and Bethesda games are, quite hardware intensive. So anything we do see is going to have to be cut down, unless it's an older game. And we could be seeing something like that. We could see some older stuff from Bethesda, and that would be interesting. So keep your eyes peeled there and maybe we'll see something from Bethesda. Before I get into hardware though, the other game that is definitely coming to the Switch, and I think probably sooner rather than later, is Fortnite. And what a nightmare that'll be. Not really, I'm joking, but for me, it'll be a nightmare because my boy loves Fortnite, and if he can get it on the go, then there'll be no stopping him. He already tries to play it on his iPad, but that obviously hasn't got controls. Put it on the Switch and he'll be in hog heaven, and he'll be playing it at his aunt's and wherever else he can play it. So yeah, I don't know as I should be happy about that or not, but yeah, I think it's good for the Switch. Hardware-wise though, I've already said there are some limitations with the Switch in terms of hardware, and I personally would like to see some changes to their hardware. We've already heard that they are looking at a revision, and that's kind of been forced on them because we've had the hacking of the Switch, and basically it's been opened up like a clam, and there's going to be more and more and more stuff coming relating to that. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them, announce some sort of hardware revision. If they are going to do that, though, I would like them to add some things into the Switch. I'd certainly like them to announce that they're releasing a Switch with higher capacity, so it's got more internal storage. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. I think we are probably more likely to see them do a repeat of what they've done in Japan and release a Switch without a dock. That could happen. Other people have speculated that we might see a mini Switch. I really don't see that. If that happens, it'll be interesting, but it'll be more of a curiosity to me than anything else. I would like to see some more power, really. And on that note, could we be seeing the uprated dock that's already been mentioned by a few people? People have speculated last year, but it's gone silent since. And personally, I don't think that's likely. If it were anyone else, then maybe I might think that it could happen. But no, I made a video about an uprated dock last year, and it seems very unlikely at this stage now. If they are going to do a hardware revision, though, I would love them to, as well as the memory, I would love them to have a headset jack, because the phone app is nonsense. And with them releasing their online service later in the year, I would like to actually have some voice app that worked. Again, I don't actually see Nintendo doing that, though. We all know what Nintendo are like. They resolutely refuse to do what people actually want. And this could split, well, it would split the user base as well if they release a Switch that actually has the ability to use a plug-in headset rather than this phone app nonsense that they seem so keen on. Moving on from that, though, what else might we be seeing? Well, I think with the paid online service coming, I would like to see more details about what they're offering in terms of free games. And, maybe a service, an add-on with that would give us more of their back catalogue. Because having a few NES games just doesn't really cut it for me. And I would love to see them add more into this. And I wouldn't mind paying a little bit more of a premium on the service if I was able to get more games that I could either download or, well, I don't really like this idea, but maybe stream. I'd like to see a Microsoft type service whereby you have a kind of Game Pass idea and you get all these old games that you can play for a one-off fee. Whether Nintendo are prepared to announce that, whether they would want to announce that, or whether they're ready at this stage to announce something like that, I don't know. The thing that worries me a little bit is that we've seen Resident Evil in Japan being made available as a streaming option. So you don't download the game, you download a little kind of app that allows you to stream the game to your Switch. Now, I made a video last year in which I talked about GeForce Now maybe coming to the Switch. I don't know if it would be GeForce Now, but I wouldn't be at all surprised to see something from Nintendo in relation to a streaming service. And I think Resident Evil 7 was probably a pointer in that direction. Maybe in Japan at first and then rolling out everywhere else later. Again, I don't actually think we're going to see that at E3 this year, though. But I wouldn't be at all surprised to see it down the line and maybe at next year's E3. I certainly think that Nintendo are looking into doing this. As regards services, the other thing I think we might be seeing a little bit more of is crossplay with the Xbox and PC. It seems to have been quite successful with games like Rocket League, and obviously it's coming, if it hasn't already, with Minecraft. So, I think it's a good fit for certain games. I don't think it's ever going to be for all games, but I think for certain games it works really well. And I think it's a positive both for Nintendo and for Microsoft as well, allowing games to be on the Nintendo Switch that are also on the Xbox and on the PC, and that you can cross-play with people on those services, on those platforms. So I think we might be seeing a little bit more of that. What games and what services will be made available, I don't know. But will we see that at E3? Yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see something more relating to that at E3, to be honest. It's in everyone's interest. And certainly from a gaming point of view, it's in our interest as well. I love the idea of being able to play Rocket League when I'm on the Switch and my lad's on the Xbox or vice versa. I think it's a great idea. That's pretty much it though. There's some things that are definitely going to happen, and there's quite a lot of speculation in here. I do like to speculate. It gives us something to talk about, doesn't it? The only other thing that's left for me to talk about is the N64 Classic and whether we will be seeing that announced at E3 this year. I would love to actually see it announced at E3 this year, but I doubt it. I doubt we're going to see it this year. The reason for that is that we're getting a kind of re-release of the NES Classic this year, so that's going to be made more readily available. And I'm not sure that Nintendo want to compete with themselves by putting the NES out and the N64 out. I hope I'm wrong. If the N64 comes out as a classic this year, then I'll be plonking down my money and buying one, assuming that they make them available, which they did a bit more with the SNES, so that bodes well. So props to Nintendo for making the SNES more available than the NES. And, good on them for making the NES available again this year. But like I say, I think that might mean that we'll have to wait till next year for the N64 Classic. If I'm wrong, then great. I'll be clapping. But yeah, we'll see. But that's it. As I say, I think that some of these things are very likely and some of them are almost totally unlikely. But let me know what you think in the comments. And we'll have a chat as usual. And in the meantime, I'm going to go and grab myself a cup of tea. And yeah, I'll speak to you in the next one. Bye.